Joining me now in conversation is Steffen Knapp, who is director at Volkswagen Passenger Cars and has recently come into the country. Our first time catching up with him in a conversation, and it's my pleasure to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's great to have you and spend some time with you, especially sitting here where we are. We're not in a boardroom or in an office. We've got the cars around us. That's great.
I couldn't agree more. It's fantastic to be here in the field, be around with our customers, our partners, and I tell you, more fun to be out in the field than sitting in the office constantly.
I can relate to that. So it's been about 6 months that you've been here. What's it been like? Let me get that one out of the way. The first adjustment period for you, how's it been?
It's been an incredible journey for me, as well as for me, as for my family. So I met a lot of very nice people, very professional people, very warm people. India has been incredibly welcoming for us as a family, as well as professionally. A lot of exciting things to do, and an incredible fast-growing country, developing country. So, to put it in a nutshell, great experience so far.
Now, of course, there's been, I think the time when you came in, that there's been a lot that's been happening, because from a policy perspective, we've had huge changes. There's still a little bit of lack of clarity where we are going with some of those changes. The market's been a tough environment, of course, to deal with, and yet you've also introduced new products within that short span of time. The latest one behind you there. So a big challenge. I mean, how did you approach it when you first came in? Because obviously some of it was known to you, but some of it would have been new.
No, of course I have to learn a lot and still have to learn a lot. So the first thing what I did, I focused on my team to understand their thinking, to understand their talent, their strengths, their weaknesses obviously too. That is important because these are my people who are working for me. Second thing what I focused on is to get to know our partners. So I was traveling quite a few times already in the countryside. And thirdly, you have to understand a lot about India. And the first thing what you understand as a foreigner, as me, is India is an incredible diverse country. And you have to really see this country completely differently in some areas. So the first part is basically for the first 3 months is understanding the situation of the brand, understanding the situation of the country, where am I now, what is the situation in general for our group, and then to develop the strategy for the upcoming years.
Now, what is the situation with the brand? Let me ask you, because there's a lot of lack of clarity sometimes when it comes to understanding the position that Volkswagen sees for itself in India rather than how we see it.
Well, I'd like always to separate the history of a brand in certain phases. And you don't have to forget that Volkswagen is only 10 years here in this country. And it takes quite a while to develop a brand. So the first part was more, let's say, getting started. So we were having 2 products in the beginning when we started here. So that was for 2 or 3 years, establishing a network and all these kinds of processes. Second bit was very important for us. We showed a clear footprint and a clear signal to the Indian public by investing in Shaka, in our plant in Pune. So where we are producing Polo and Vento, as you know, and Ameo, of course. And that is the third part, the Indianization. As an automotive brand, you need to be local. You need to be a local citizen. And with the development of the Ameo, we made this step to showcase we are building cars for India. And you know that Ameo is only sold and only built here in India. So it was a clear signal to everybody in India that we take it serious in this market. Now we are setting the fundamentals for the next step in our footprint. So we are an established brand now. We have all the fundamentals in place. The last bit is to strengthen those pillars to be able to come to the next footprint, which we are going to do in a couple of years.
How do you maintain a balance between 2 expectations? One is, of course, the expectation which is expected from the headquarters side, where they say, oh look, India, so much potential, we've already done so much investment, so they're obviously after you with a certain kind of expected target. And then there's also the market side of it, where the consumer sees VW as the world's largest car maker, so much going on in terms of portfolio, technology, etc. How do you keep both those expectations satisfied and alive?
Everything starts with a clear positioning. So you need to make everybody clear what a brand stands for. And we are the only accessible premium brand here in India. And premium brand means that it is also kind of restricted to a certain customer base and a clearly targeted customer base. For us, it's the middle class, which we are focusing. And the middle class is a growing segment, no question, in India, fortunately for us, because that gives us a lot of opportunity. But That is a different situation to our brand, for instance, in Europe, where we are having on an average 10 to 15% market share. So we have some limitations with the very focused target group, but we see exactly the potential. And that's what I try to explain my counterparts in Germany, obviously, as well as we are going to make our brand more accessible to people here in India. Yeah? So we are in a balanced situation. Obviously, I like to have more market share, that's clear, selling more cars. But I think it's very important to be very, very clear what the brand stands for. And that's what we try to safeguard in all our activities, what we are doing.
But tell me this, when you look at the last 10 years, there has been, let's say, a couple of different views on what that ideal market share should be or could be. While I'm sure you have an internal target, and I want to ask you to divulge all your secrets, what's looking like an ideal scenario? What gives you, let's say, some sort of a benchmark or threshold which will say, okay, we are now set up for a more confident future?
Yeah, and we have a clear vision. Like I said, in the first 3 months it was about getting to know and understand the country, getting to know the KPIs of the brand, and the last 3 months were mainly focused on developing the strategy. And to develop a strategy, the first thing what you do is to find a compelling vision. Yeah? And our vision is to get to 3% market share in the next 5 years. That would mean a doubling of the current volume, excluding potential increase of the industry which will come. That means we have a clear vision. We want to get a bigger footprint in this country. Yeah? So, and that is 3%. Yeah, that is strong. Yeah? And that gives us a very good base for a growth, also for long-term growth for this company here in India.
Now, the immediate questions that come from that is, one is a product question, and I'll save that. The second is also to try and understand how does that market share target play with respect to what Skoda would do. Is there any kind of a, let's say, a combined strategy at all, or would you like to always keep it very separate?
You know, a brand is a promise, yeah? And a brand needs to deliver its promise constantly. Therefore, it's very important that you completely separate your positioning from any brand at all. It could be another one not in the group. Yeah? So we are clearly separating our promise from the one which Skoda is doing. But this doesn't prevent us from developing products together. Yeah? As you know, Skoda has the lead in India to develop the next generation of product. And that has a clear background, because we divided a little bit our tasks around the globe. Yeah? And Skoda is the one which is capable of realizing products at a lower cost base, which is a necessity in this countryside. Yeah? In order to be competitive, you need to be also getting the right value for money in India. And it's a very competitive marketplace. Therefore, you give this to the hands of those who are most capable of doing that in conjunction with us. By not, and that's very important for me, diluting our brand and core values. Yeah? We are the safest, highest quality and the best driving quality cars in this market. We are the only premium, accessible premium brand in India, and that will be the same. First of all, it's our positioning we're looking at, but apart from this, developing together makes only sense.
And even this product where Skoda will take the lead, you will still maintain all those brand values when it comes to the VW badge product?
If not, we are diluting the brand. And like I said, a brand is a promise. I promise you get the best quality, the best safety, and the best driving experience, and I have to deliver this constantly. If not, the customer's not believing me. Yeah?
No.
Therefore, it's very important.
Yeah, of course. Now coming to that product question, typically what everybody wants to know is, what else are you going to launch? How many more new models can we expect? But while I'll be happy for you to tell me that, the other question that's now starting to come up more and more is about the new Polo. I mean, the fact that we've had one already happen globally. Also, the Vento replacement is being talked about in Latin America already. So where do you stand on that? Because there are a lot of customers who are very curious, very excited, and expecting you to do that.
Yeah. We are looking in all opportunities in all areas in order to have the right product portfolio for India. Obviously, if a car is being launched in another area of the globe, which is called Polo, it's a kind of a logic that this could be one of the successors. But if you look at the product credentials, you will see immediately that the Polo in other parts of the world is more than 4 meters. So that requires already an engineering effort in order to be here compatible with the local product portfolio, which is necessary. Yeah? The MQB platform is our platform which we already launched in India with the Tiguan and the Passat, and it's clearly the future product platform we are looking at. Yeah? There is a substantial amount of engineering necessary for us to be successful in this marketplace. I said this before, the value for money proposition in India is a different one in other countries. Yeah? And that requires you to have a very local approach. On top of it, localization in the framework of Made in India plays a crucial bit of your value of money part. We just saw it with a recent budget which has been announced. Yeah? So just to take a Polo from Europe is unfortunately not the way we could do the business. So we need to look further in order to make products available for that country which fit the needs and this customer group here in India.